I gotta make a confession. The first time I used one of these, I thought it was just a fancy virtual tour camera. You can scan a house, people can click around, and that's just it. But after spending some time with the new Realsee Galois P4, I think I've been thinking about these things completely wrong. This doesn't just create a virtual tour, it creates something called a digital twin, a complete digital copy of a physical space. Today we are going to find out how close we are to being able to capture an entire home and bring it into the metaverse, or at least the digital world. I have a 4,000 square foot home waiting for us, and by the end of this video, you'll see exactly how it works, what has changed compared to the first model, and whether it's worth the $7,500 asking price. This video is sponsored by Realsee. They will preview this video for technical accuracy. However, I will not be holding back any of my opinions, and I will not be hiding any flaws. I'm going to show you how it works, I'll show you what it looks like, and then at the end you can decide for yourself if this is a better camera than what you get with the newest Matterport, so let's begin. Most people think of a virtual tour as something like Google Street View. You can look around, you can click to move, you can zoom in, but a digital twin is something different. It doesn't just show you what a space looks like, it knows where everything is. It knows room dimensions. It knows how spaces connect to each other. It can generate floor plans. It can generate point clouds. It can generate 3D models. Architects use them, builders use them, real estate agents, insurance companies. Really, the goal of a camera like this is to capture all of that information as quickly as possible and with staggering accuracy. Today we are scanning this roughly 4,000 square foot model home. Special thank you goes out to Drees Custom Homes in Palmer Ranch, Georgetown, Texas. This home has a base price of just under $800,000 US, and it is gorgeous. If you want more information, I will have that linked down in the description. Now, the previous camera took me about 1 hour and 15 minutes to scan a house that was roughly the same size. This one claims to be significantly faster, and indeed it was. It only took me about 40 minutes to go through and scan the entire home, and there are 3 reasons. First, scanning takes only 16 seconds instead of the 36 seconds that it took with the first model, so you're saving about 20 seconds per scan times 100 scans. That's a lot of time. Second, it scans 4 times further. So the original scanned up to 25 meters. This one does a whopping 100 meters. So you are scanning other parts of the house while you are scanning a single room if you have the door open. And third, you might have noticed the screen on the back. That is new. With the old one, you had to do everything on your phone. With this one, you can just use the screen to start a scan, so you don't need to fiddle with your phone at all. You just move the tripod, tap, hide, move, tap, hide, move, tap, hide, and that's it. And then you can check on the app to give you a live map of what has been scanned and what still needs a little bit more coverage. The difference in speed with the P4 is very significant. I was flying through the house. If you are doing multiple properties per day, it's a massive, massive improvement and well worth the upgrade. You are cutting really your work time on location roughly in half. You know, when camera companies release a new camera that is 5% better than the old one and everyone goes crazy and thinks it's so great? Well, I think that Realsee went off the rails with this upgrade. So it's twice as fast, which is a big upgrade. It scans 4 times further. It also has greater accuracy, plus or minus 10 millimeters instead of 20 millimeters. It's using a new 47 megapixel micro four thirds sensor, up from the 20 megapixel sensor that was in the last generation. And resolution is a whopping 24,576 by 12,288 pixels now, which means you are getting 24K panoramas. Not 4K like your TV, 24K. It also has not twice the amount of memory, not 10 times more storage, but a whopping 32 times more storage than the first generation, so 512 gigabytes of internal memory. But these specs only matter if you can see the difference. When you zoom in, the textures, the details, everything just looks so crisp. The original model really never felt like it underperformed in this area, but this is staggering performance. HDR processing is excellent. This house in particular had a wall of bright windows, and look at how they look here. And you can also step outside and see what that looks like as well. Once you scan a space, everything uploads to Realsee's cloud platform. The software automatically aligns all of the scans. It builds this dollhouse view. It creates navigation paths. It processes the point cloud, and it stitches everything together. For this home, processing took a couple of hours, but by the time it was finished, I had a complete digital replica of this home. And now comes the fun part, which is editing. The Realsee editing process doesn't require any software. It's all browser based, and there are hundreds of things that you can do here. For this video, I want to focus on a few things that I think are useful and practical. First, custom branding. So if you are delivering tours to clients, you can replace the Realsee branding with your own company's logo or information, which is pretty cool. Second, there is what's called hotspots, where you can place text or graphics or videos or links or labels, so you can create kind of a multimedia experience through the tour. Video Fusion is one of those features that I do like to use, especially in this videos, and that's what you saw in the intro to this video. You can create guided routes through a property, which is cool if you don't want people to wander around and want them to go a specific path. And there is also the camera removal. Any reflections from the camera itself can be automatically removed. If you've tried to do this manually, I don't even know how you do it, but here, the backend processing does it all for you and quite easily. In bathrooms, this is especially useful. Now, most of you might look at this and think it's just a real estate tool, and it is. But the virtual tour is just one of the many things that you can use it for. You can also export floor plans, point clouds, CAD compatible files, 3D models, high resolution panoramas, all from the same scan that we did. So if you're working with an architect or a builder or an engineer or a designer or a house flipper, those deliverables can be incredibly valuable. It's not just a tour, it's capturing spatial data, which opens up a different set of use cases. Now let's talk pricing. This camera is $7,500 US, which is a serious investment. What is more interesting is the software model. So instead of everything being locked behind some monthly subscription, such as what you get with Matterport, Realsee uses a pay-as-you-go credit system, so you can scan, upload, edit, download, and experiment with the platform before you commit to it, and you never have to worry about paying monthly contracts. For those who are using this sort of stuff on occasion, or if you're running a small business, this is a huge savings. Obviously, the camera is still expensive, but at least you're not paying hundreds of dollars per month on top of the expensive camera. Now, is it perfect? No. The first thing I want to mention is the battery system has changed. The P4 has a removable battery, which is a great idea because you can carry spares around and swap them easily. But the trade-off is you don't get the crazy battery life of the non-swappable first version. That had an 8-hour battery life. This one has 3 hours of battery life per battery, and it came with 2 batteries. Now, because this is twice as fast at scanning, you probably won't need as much battery life, but you'll have to swap batteries with this version if you are planning on using it all day or for a massive space. The second thing is, while Realsee does a really impressive job using AI to fill in the areas directly beneath the camera, it still isn't flawless. Most of the time you'll never notice it, but if you look directly down at the floor around a scan point, sometimes you can see some slight inconsistencies in the flooring patterns, in rugs or textures. On a few scan spots, I even saw the end of my tripod legs in the tour, which is not good. Most of the time, people won't be walking around looking at the ground on tour, but it's not perfect in this regard. And the same thing can be said about what is directly above you. That is using some sort of generative fill. And again, it's not always 100% flawless. With ceiling air vents here, for example, you can see it's not doing exactly what it needs to disguise it. The same thing applies to some of the AI cleanup features. The camera removal tool is genuinely impressive and saves a huge amount of editing time, but every once in a while, you'll find a reflection or a mirror or a tricky surface that needs just a little bit of extra attention. It's very good again, but it's not magic, it's not flawless. And although the scanning is much faster, the uploading and processing still takes hours, so it's not like you can just send the tour the moment you walk away from whatever it is that you are scanning. It shortens the amount of time that you have to spend at a property, for example, but not necessarily how quickly you can deliver the final product to a client. Are these things a deal breaker? Well, that's up to you guys. From a purely technical product review perspective, this is a massive, huge improvement over the original Galois M2 in nearly every way. If Apple, for example, did something like this with the new iPhone, where they make it twice as fast with 4 times better cameras and 32 times more memory built in, all for the same price, the internet would just explode. So if you're in real estate, architecture, construction, property management, or any industry where documenting physical spaces matters, this is a pretty exciting thing. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. I'll leave some links down there where you can learn more about this camera, as well as a link to the tour that I created with it, so you can experience kind of the first-hand resolution of what 24K looks like as you're moving around. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.